Today's lecture is related with the memory, how it works with 8085. So we will be discussing today about the memory. We know that memory is an essential component of any microprocessor system, and it used to store the binary information either in the form of instruction or the data for the microprocessor. Now we have various types of the memory which is being used with the microprocessor system, but basically these memory are categorized into two parts: primary memory and the storage memory or the secondary memory. We are mainly concerned with the read-write memory, that is random access memory, or it is the primary memory, and how this memory works. So in this random access memory or the main memory, we have two kinds of memory. One is read-write memory and one is read-only memory. So we will be discussing more about read-write memory. Now we know that this read-write memory is made of registers, and each register is a group of flip-flop, and these flip-flops are called memory cells because this flip-flop is going to store one bit. So it is called the cell of the memory, or it is called the memory cell. And there is a possibility that in one register there may be 4 flip-flop, there may be 8 flip-flop, there may be a single flip-flop. So in any register, how many number of bits are being stored, that is called the word of the memory, or it is called the memory word. Now it is the read-write memory which is used for either reading purpose or for the writing purpose, but on the other hand there is another kind of memory which is read-only memory, in which once the data has been written can be used for read-only purpose. So whenever this memory is connected with the microprocessor, so how this microprocessor is going to communicate with this memory, and there are 3 essential steps which are required. First is to select the chip, because there is a possibility that there are many chips of the memory which are connected with the microprocessor system. So first of all, we have to select the chip. Then once the chip is selected, we must identify the register in that particular chip, and then only the reading operation or the writing operation into that register can be done. So this is the basic 3 steps for the communication with the memory which the microprocessor used to do: selecting the chip, identify the register, and then read or write into the register. So for doing all these we must require certain address, because individual registers present in the individual chip are designated with a particular address. So we are in need of address bus to carry the address. We are in need of generating the control signal in the form of a reading or for writing purpose, that is being generated by the microprocessor. And when all these 2 are okay, then only the data bus will be used to carry the data from the processor to the memory, or from the memory to the processor. So for connecting the memory and communicating with memory with the microprocessor, it requires address bus to carry the address, it requires data bus to carry the data, and as well as it requires the control bus to do the reading or the writing operations. Now as far as the basic element of the memory register is concerned, it is known as flip-flop. So memory is nothing but it is a combination, it's a kind of a circuit which is a combination of flip-flop or the latch, and that's why this flip-flop or the latch is called the basic element of the memory. Now this basic element latch can store either the high or the low depending upon the voltage level. If it is 1, it will store 1. If it is 0. Now this flip-flop is also called a latch, and to store this a single bit in the latch, we are in requirement of giving the input information in it. Now this flip-flop is called latch. Actually it is a D flip-flop, where whenever we put an input, the output will be displayed as the D output. So D is the input and Q is the output. So it is a simple flip-flop which is called latch. If input side is 1, output will be 1. If input side is low, 0, the output will be low. So this diagram is showing the simple latch. Of course, the changes in the input side can be reflected on the output side only when and only when the enable signal is high. So enable is another signal which is given to the D flip-flop. When this is high, whatever changes we are doing at the input side, that changes will be reflected at the output side. But when this enable line will become low, then in that case, whatever input last given, it will be latched in the form of a output. Now this is another circuit which is also known as latch, but this latch is using tri-state buffers. And why we use this tri-state buffer? Just to avoid the unintentional changes in the input and the control, and to control the availability of the output. Now we have two tri-state buffers which are being used on the input side as well as to the output side. Now we can write into the latch. If in this latch we can write anything into the latch whenever we are going to enable through the write signal, and we are going to read anything from the latch whenever it is being enabled through the read signal. Now this tri-state buffer is negatively activated, and that is why when write is low, then only it will work. Similarly, read is also negatively activated, and this latch is also negatively buffer is also negatively activated when read is low. Now we can write into the latch by enabling the input buffer and read it by enabling the output buffer. Whenever we want to write, we have to enable this. Whenever we have to read, we have to enable this. So it means reading and writing is being controlled by write signal and the read signal. And both the signals are negatively activated signal or active low signals. Now this latch again is going to store a single binary digit, and this can be called as a memory cell of the memory. Now this is a figure which shows 4 latches connected together, and every latch is being controlled by the tri-state buffer. We have 4 latches, so this is going to make a register having 4 D flip-flops or the 4 latches. It means this register can store 4 binary information. Now input of the first latch is I0, input to the second latch is I1, input to the third latch is I2, and input to the fourth latch is I3. And similarly, we are getting output O0, O1, O2 and O3. Now here we have a tri-state buffer on the input side, we have a tri-state buffer on the output side. Similarly, every latch is connected with the tri-state buffer on the input side as well as on the output side. And this enable signal is being connected with each latches with the enable line. And write is going to enable the input latch, and read is going to enable the output latch. and so corresponding, if a write is low, read is low and enable is high, then it will be going to work.